What was the most NSFW thing you have ever seen at work? 1. I used to work in a movie theater in the summer, and after a movie I go in and collect all the popcorn bags and stuff. Saw a fat blob of cum all over the back of a seat and a wet female underwear in between the seats. Also used to work in a movie theater. One of my favorite stories is the time I found a used condom zipped into the movable armrest. Best part? The theater was showing Anchorman 2. Oh, don't get me started. I've seen filled condoms after Frozen 2 lol. Actually, a lot of those kid movies have a lot of adult things, after which is a bit weird. Some people think going to a kid's movie that's been out for a while and shows late at night the theater will be empty for hanky-panky. 2. Found a Xerox of a girl's backside, without panties, smashed up against the copier glass. No idea whose it was, but she should be proud of it. 3. My friend who was volunteering once saw the maintenance man and his wife having sex in the break room, never told the manager, only me. 4. Literally NSFW. The former human who decided to steal supply copper from the railway overhead. 1500 volt DC. He was essentially welded to the stanchion. 5. 2 colleagues were having an affair, let's call them Bobby and Susie. Bobby's wife found text messages, took screenshots, and sent them to Susie's husband. Susie's husband comes storming into our office yelling, "Where's the guy who's been fucking my wife in the ass?" Right, double quotation mark, new line. Chaos ensues. The husband tried to beat up Bobby. One of my colleagues had to step in. Security came. Then Bobby's wife hacked into Bobby's computer and sent all of his colleagues, including me, screenshots of Bobby and Susie's graphic text messages, lots of "I'm going to fuck you in the ass" content. HR got involved and we all had to delete the emails from Bobby's wife, and Bobby and Susie were both suspended but not fired. I left the company soon after, but Bobby and Susie still worked there. Wild. It's the in the ass that makes it, right? You can tell she told him no butt stuff, and that's at least 65% of the reason he's mad. LMAO. 6. I've seen, and this is 100% truth, a bathroom stall floor covered in full-page color nudes of some chick, with ejaculate sprayed all over them. Dude printed off pics, jerked off on them, and then left them there. 7. A picture of a coworker's ass that was heavily bruised after a spanking session. Never not a NSFW conversation with her. Sex convention this, having 3 boy toys and 1 main guy that, and all the weird shit she's into. Lol, can't wait to hear her latest update. Haven't been to work in 4 days. I work in a hospital and there's a doctor who doesn't care who's around when she shares her Tinder escapades. It's daily. I used to work with a teacher like this. She told us all about the dicks she put in her mouth, then said she didn't like to use the canteen cutlery because she didn't know where it had been. Go figure? Well, in her defense, she knew where the dicks had been. In her mouth. And 2 other places. In an order that would surprise you. 8. Back when I worked casino security, catching people having sex in the restrooms happened way too frequently. 9. Some guy, a customer I actually liked, but not like that, showed me a dick pic. I wasn't mad, just disappointed. I told him that's the kind of thing that could put him on a list that says he can't live near a school for the rest of his life. I really don't think he realized it was inappropriate until I told him. 10. Manager got caught screwing a mid-tier supervisor in a meeting room. Fallout is firing and divorce from his wife. The woman got to keep her job but quit after her miscarriage. The company paid a settlement to a sexual harassment lawsuit as his behavior and 4 others had been reported several times and HR failed them. 11. When I worked at Tim Hortons, a customer came out of the men's washroom and told me there's something disgusting in the men's washroom. I was thinking it was poop smeared all over the toilet or something, but it was so much worse. On the counter, next to the sink, was a pair of little girls' pink Disney princess panties covered in jizz. And the way they were sprawled out on the counter made it look like whoever did it wanted to display them for everyone to see. Of course, being the only man on shift at the time, I was the one who had to clean it up. That incident still haunts me. 12. Having worked at a bar for 10 years. Tits. Lots and lots of boobies. 13. Well, I didn't technically see it, but I worked for a small law firm, in a little craftsman house on the beach in southern CA. Super chill office. We had a kinda wild Christmas party and one of the attorneys stayed late with her date. I guess she forgot our boss had cameras because she fucked the guy on the floor of the office and my boss's wife was home watching from bed. The question is, how are you able to tell this story? Because my boss's wife was also the office manager and told me on Monday morning, lol. She would watch us all the time. She'd call sometimes and be like, I like your dress today. 14. I worked briefly at a gay sauna, so a guy getting fisted. He was very polite and brought his own towels to lay out underneath him, but damn, I don't know how he walked out after. 15. Worked at a wild restaurant as a busboy on the beach in Florida at 18. I'd often work a shift like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and always be dealing with belligerently drunk humans. At 1 a.m. I decide to start cleaning the inside bathroom where I find the married manager banging the married bartender. I ended up having a meeting with my manager about how that could never be discussed and how I'd be the first busboy in history to get Employee of the Month. 16. Not technically seen, but back in the Navy I was on a submarine. In most of the boat, there are trapdoors in the floor so you can get underneath. Well, one time we're finishing up cleaning and I open up one of these doors and reach down while telling the guys who were cleaning down there that I'll take their cleaning supplies. What was placed in my hand was significantly warmer and softer than a brush or dustpan. Is that a penis? Yup. Remove it or I'll squeeze. We had a good laugh after lol. 17. I worked clothing retail and a woman opted to try on her clothes behind a rack on the sales floor instead of using the fitting rooms. Oh, and the time a guy took a dump in the fitting room. And the time the sugar daddy and his sugar baby banged in a fitting room in our tiny store. They spent $8,000, so I was cool. 18. When I was working retail I walked into the women's bathroom and saw a man under the hand dryer with his pants stretched out so the air could hit his man bits. I quickly apologized and left assuming I had gone in the men's room. I worked loss prevention and had to check both bathrooms for empty packages or defeated sensors each shift, but nope. It was definitely women's. I slowly went back in, and he had a cheesy grin and asked in a thick accent, "Oh, was this the woman's?" I still doubt it was an accident. 19. I was bouncer for 9 years. The craziest NSFW, professional style, I ever saw was insane. It was the end of the night. Lights were on, music was off, and we're ushering people out. Some girl was giving us SHT and a bartender, who was female and probably tipsy as FCK, said something this other girl didn't like. The other girl couldn't go through a wall of bouncers so she left. But through the huge glass windows of the bar kept on yelling. So, the bartender girl was like, "What BCH you wanna go?" And flashed her boobs while charging the window. So the other girl flashed her boobs too like, "Fuck you BCH." This went on for a minute, just boobs flashing back and forth. Then the girl on the outside of the glass escalated to flashing her cat, which had a string. She was wearing a sundress. So, meanwhile we bouncers were all watching this absolutely speechless. Then this guy we called State Farm Stan, because he worked at State Farm for his day job, said one of the funniest things I've ever heard. "Yo, is this how chicks battle?" I was dying. 20. I used to drive a truck and some woman flashed me on the road. That was pretty neat. Oh. I used to work at an arcade that closed at midnight. People having sex out back and topless laser tag. I used to work in a print center and a woman gave me her thumb drive to print something. Her nudes were on the drive and she didn't seem to care. Working jobs where I drive a lot, I've seen way too many dudes peeing in public. I was backpacking in the mountains once and needed to shit, so I go way off the path and get to shitting. I finish up, bury it, and then notice one of those hunting cameras that was facing me with a clear-ass view of me. I knew there was nothing I could do now, so I just sucked it up and went back to the trail. 21. Worked in IT at a hospital. Porn usually, from DRs to the normal working types in different roles. The most NSFW thing would have been the guy that ultimately was arrested, and obviously fired, working in the social services department with child porn all over his computer, and would sometimes walk away from his desk without locking his computer, which was already a no-no at the hospital if you were doing more than just walking to a printer or something along those lines, and have images still visible on his monitor. 22. A drunk so-called manager at a Christmas party grabbing literally every colleague by the butt and some of them all by the balls. Also rubbing his own balls at his colleagues. Even guys from top management were his victims. Still haunts me. 23. One of the last nights I was a bartender, Years ago, I worked with this girl who was notoriously a little slutty. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's just how she was. As she went to leave, she goes, "Oh, hey, it's your last night, right?" Then proceeds to show me a pop selfie video she took of herself blowing some random guy she met at a strip club the night before. 24. A Spanish customer asked if I could print her a copy of her resume in the office of the bar I ran. I said no problem as long as I could virus scan the thumb drive. Her response was along the lines of, "Sure, there's nothing dirty on there." The thumb drive came back as virus-free, so I proceeded to open it. There were hundreds of photos on it of her in lingerie, her in BDSM gear, her with toys, etc. I found the resume, printed it off and tried to say that perhaps she would be better using some folders, etc. The language barrier proved too great at the time, so her flatmate helped translate. Once it had been explained, she went a bit red and simply said, "You think sexy?" I said very, and she asked if she could wait behind after closing. Turned out to be one of the best years of my life. 6 months with Anna until she returned to Spain, and then 6 months with Maria before she too returned to Spain.